Curses! Recently, I sat down to play Commander with Maldhound, who brought his Treasure Cruise deck, a deck that will give you either treasure or a curse, and, well, every single time, I got cursed. Curses, curses, curses! I started thinking about curses, and that brings us to today's $45 Build Your Own Precon, a deck that's based on giving yourself curses to give to your opponents. Myriad Misfortune is a $44.27 Grixis deck that rains down curses upon your opponents. Curses are an enchantment or a subtype that you attach to your opponents to punish them in myriad ways. From stealing your opponent's creatures from the top of their libraries, forcing combat on unwilling opponents, dealing damage upon drawing cards or playing creatures, and so much more. What's unique about this deck is that instead of casting enchantments to build ourselves up, we are casting enchantments to tear our opponents down. The commander of Myriad Misfortune is Lind, Cheerful Tormentor. Lind is a 2/4 legendary human warlock for 1 colorless, a blue, a black, and a red. Lind has 2 triggered abilities. First, whenever a curse is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return it to the battlefield attached to you at the beginning of the next end step. And second, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may attach a curse attached to you to one of your opponents. If you do, draw 2 cards. Lind asks us to attach curses to ourselves, but don't worry. With some careful play, we'll almost never suffer the full effects of those curses. Instead, we'll be shifting them onto other players and drawing cards for our trouble. However, to turn this powerful draw effect into a repeatable draw engine, we'll need to do more than just cast those curses upon ourselves. Keep in mind that even when attached to an opponent, we still control our curses, meaning we can sacrifice them to a sack outlet, triggering Lind's first ability, returning the curses to the battlefield, where they will be attached to us, which then lets us use Lind's second ability again. Once we have this engine online, we'll look to win the game by outvaluing our opponents and drowning them in curses. Enchantment-based strategies have been the archetype of plenty of Commander Precons, from Estrid the Masked to the new Commander Masters Precon Commander Nithia, Hand of Erebos. But with this new Commander Precon pre-ordering for well over $70, oh my god, fans of enchantment-based strategies look poised to have to shell out more than the usual $45. But instead of cursing the misfortune of expensive Precons, why not instead spend about $45 and build your own Precon, featuring Lind, Cheerful Tormentor, to curse your opponents with this video's deck tech, Myriad Misfortunes. How does the deck work? Let's take a look. But first, I just have to ask you, did you know that you're beautiful? You are. You're gorgeous, you're stunning, you're sexy because you are you, and you radiate that aura around yourself by the clothes that you wear, the way you present yourself to the world. And it doesn't matter if you like to dress up as I do or dress down, because the way you choose to dress is the way you are, and that's okay. The correct way is the way you want to be. And the same goes for things like your hair. If you like long hair as I do, that's gorgeous and sexy, and if you like no hair at all, there's nothing wrong with that. That's gorgeous and sexy too. The question is, what happens when Mother Nature has a different plan in store for you than how you want to present yourself to the world? Well, that's where Keeps comes in. You see, Keeps is just a subscription men's healthcare service to let you take control of your hairline. If you're starting to see the signs of hair loss, and again, there is nothing wrong with losing your hair, but if you don't want to lose your hair, that is where Keeps comes in. Keeps offers clinically proven, research-backed treatments to stop hair loss and improve hair growth. And that's great because did you know 2 out of 3 guys will experience hair loss by the time they're 35? What do you do when you see the signs of hair loss? Well, you call Keeps, that's what. With Keeps, you can get quality expert care without ever visiting a doctor's office or a pharmacy. And Keeps physicians will help you select the right products and treatments for your specific condition and hair goals. Best of all, Keeps is delivered fast and secure right to your door. There's no need to even leave the house. And with my special offer, Keeps is a better deal than ever. So remember, hair loss stops with Keeps. To get a special offer, just go to keeps.com/Tolarian or click the link in this video description. That's KEEPS.com/Tolarian. Thank you, Keeps, for sponsoring this video. The two most important cards to getting our cursed card draw engine online are Claw of Gix and Despotic Scepter. Claw of Gix is a 0-mana artifact that reads, pay 1 mana, sacrifice a permanent, you gain 1 life. Despotic Scepter, on the other hand, is a 1-mana artifact whose oracle text reads, tap to destroy target permanent you own. It can't be regenerated. Both these cards allow us to send our curses to the graveyard at instant speed, meaning we can wait for our opponents to suffer our curses on their turn, then sacrifice them right before our turn, and have Lind put them right back where they were in our upkeep, netting us our 2 cards and keeping curses on the competition. These 2 cards are so important to our strategy that this deck runs a copy of Trinket Mage to help us tutor up these key cards. And Trinket Mage is not so bad because even if we've already found those cards, hey, we can always grab our Soul Ring. Casting Curses. Of course, curses are the key to our conquest. This deck runs 22 curses, each one tormenting the table in its own unique way. While on their own, many of these curses may seem at most annoying, as curse after curse continues to pile upon our opponents, they are sure to buckle under the back-breaking burden. The most powerful curse in the whole deck is Curse of Misfortunes, which reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library for a curse card that doesn't have the same name as a curse attached to enchanted player. Put it onto the battlefield attached to that player, then shuffle your library. This is the one curse in the deck that we'll want to keep to ourselves, as with it and Lind in play, we'll stack both their upkeep triggers so that Curse of Misfortunes resolves first, tutoring up the best curse for the situation and attaching it to ourself. Then Lind's trigger will resolve, moving that curse immediately and drawing us 2 cards. Is there an Dragon player at the table? Well, then why not find a Curse of Unbinding to steal a dragon from their deck every turn. Goldspan Dragon, Old Gnawbone, and Ancient Gold Dragon all work for us now. Is there an archenemy at the table that just needs to go? Use Curse of Bloodletting to double every other player's damage dealt to them. Then attach a Curse of Thirst and put a clock on them. Just these 2 curses alone will deal 4 damage to them each turn. But of course, we'll be attaching way more than that. A Curse of Surveillance lets us draw cards equal to the number of curses attached to its victim, but also gives us leverage at the table by letting us offer cards to other players. But we can turn that blessing of card draw right back into a curse with Curse of Fool's Wisdom, draining the cursed player for 2 every time they draw. If a player perishes under the pressure of our curses while Lind is in play, every curse attached to that player will be sent to the graveyard as a state-based action. Then Lind will return all of those curses attached to us, letting us reuse them to deal with the remaining players. This, of course, is dangerous as we can only move 1 curse a turn, but just like when you find a French fry that was left under your car seat, what's life without a little risk? This wide range of curses lets us attack our opponents from a surprising number of angles. And while cursing the entire table may put a target on our back, curses like the Curse of Chaos, Curse of Verbosity, and Curse of Opulence incentivize our opponents to attack each other, diverting attention away from the true architect of the table's torment. Synergies. Curses are enchantments, meaning that as we sack and return them to the battlefield, we'll repeatedly trigger effects like Constellation. Creatures like Grim Guardian, Forgeborn Oreads, and Doomwake Giant will benefit again and again from our cursed shenanigans, causing 1 life loss, pinging for 1, and giving creatures -1/-1 until end of turn, respectively. Protean Thaumaturge can copy any of these creatures to double down on these effects, or just copy the scariest on the board. I'm looking at you, Sheoldred. In addition, Sphinx of the Second Sun, while expensive to cast, is an excellent top end for the deck as it gives us an additional beginning phase every turn. This means you get to untap, upkeep, and draw all over again. Keep in mind that both Lind and Curse of Misfortune trigger during our upkeep. What this means is that every turn we are tutoring 4 and donating 2 curses and drawing 6 cards. Draw 6 cards every turn? I love this deck. Sacrifice engines. We went over Claw of Gix and Despotic Scepter, but there are other sacrifice outlets that get us value. Remember, curses are permanents we control, despite enchanting other players, so they are valid sacrifice fuel. Blood Aspirant and Slaughter Priest of Mogus are both repeatable sack outlets for our curses, but also decent enough attackers that benefit when we sacrifice. Dream Shaper Shaman lets us pay 2 and a red mana in our end step to sacrifice a curse, revealing cards from the top of our library until we reveal a non-land permanent, probably a curse, and put it straight onto the battlefield. With Lind out, that sacrificed curse comes right back, so it's like we didn't sacrifice anything at all. Braid's Arisen Nightmare is a particularly cool card, letting us sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker in our end step. But then, each opponent must sacrifice a permanent of the same type, or lose 2 life and let us draw a card. Very few decks will be able to keep up with the number of enchantments we are sacrificing. Well, maybe Tom Bombadil and the Lore of the Rings Precon that we built last week, so maybe you should check that deck tech out if you haven't already. Links in the description. And to reach these cards, we run Perilous Research and Read the Runes, to draw spells with the downside of having us sacrifice some number of permanents. But with Lind Online, sacrificing a curse is pure upside. In running this deck, we are inevitably going to attract the ire of 1 to 3 players at the table. To protect ourselves, this deck runs a couple of counter spells, a suite of removal, 1 or 2 board wipes, and of course, a copy of Swiftfoot Boots to protect Lind. To dissuade attackers, we run Fog Bank, a 2-mana flying wall that prevents all damage dealt to it, meaning it can block almost anything all day. Magic the Gathering boomers, such as myself, can also opt for a white border wall of vapor, whatever floats your boat. And if our opponent's army is wide enough to go around these walls, Revenge of Ravens drains them for 1 for each attacking creature. Together, this particularly scary autumn day will deter even the strongest of attacking armies. Piloting the deck. Altogether, this deck uses a slow burn strategy. Early game, we want to get some curses out, but we don't want to draw too much attention to ourselves before we get our engine online. Let the table decide who gets the early curses. Point fingers at the players getting an early lead to justify your actions. Make alliances with players seeking petty revenge on one of our opponents. And then we build up to the finale. Once the curse shop is open for business, we'll be drawing 3 cards a turn, making us an obvious threat. The great thing about this is that commander players are terrible at threat assessment. The great thing about this is that we can easily move curses around, making deals as our opponents beg for mercy, or refocusing our efforts towards the table's archenemy, at least the archenemy who isn't evidently us. All in all, this deck can be put together with the list provided for about $45, but what if you want to spend a bit more and get a lot more out of the deck? Welcome to the upgrades section. Upgrades. So if you're looking to put a little bit more money into Myriad Misfortunes, here are a couple of highlights from our upgrade plan. While our Autumn Day Defense suite is lovely, Silent Arbiter and Propaganda are going to be much more effective at protecting us. Paradox Haze is a flexible enchantment that doubles upkeep triggers, either doubling the effects of certain curses, or doubling our Lind and Curse of Misfortunes triggers. Lastly, Clever Impersonator and Extravagant Replication are flexible copy effects. Clever Impersonator can enter as a copy of any non-land threat on the battlefield, even as one of your curses. Wow, quite the master of disguise. So much so that it'll even trigger Lind's first ability if it leaves the battlefield, letting you reanimate it to choose another threat to copy. Extravagant Replication can also make copies of our curses every turn, which can quickly get out of hand. To add these 5 cards, we'll cut Fogbank, Revenge of Ravens, Curse of the Nightly Hunt, Slaughter Priest of Mogus, and Blood Aspirant. Deck lists for both the standard and fully upgraded versions of the deck are available in this video's description. Myriad Misfortunes is true to its name, offering myriad reasons you will want to play it. Whether you like steadily building up power by using powerful synergies, manipulating the table with politicking, or simply tormenting your opponents, this deck has something for you. And as always, I hope very much this video has been of some help to you, and you can help me out just by watching another video, whether it is the Shuffle Up and Play with Pleasant Kenobi, Mauled Hound, and Nguyen, or just another build your own commander video, such as our Precon guide to Lore of the Rings sagas. Tom Bombadil? Was he even in the movies? Well, you can find out the answer to that and more by checking out that video here or linked in this video's description. Hey, thanks again to Keeps for sponsoring this video. You know, you are gorgeous with or without hair. You are sexy whether you're bald or balding, but you also are sexy if you've got a full head of hair and long hair. It's just what you want. How do you want to be? How do you want to look? That is up to you, but sometimes Mother Nature thinks it's up to her. Well, if she is showing the signs of hair loss for you, you can take action with Keeps. That's right, hair loss stops with Keeps. To get a special offer, just go to www.keeps.com/Tolarian or click the link in this video's description. That's KEEPS.com/Tolarian. Thank you, Keeps, for sponsoring this video.
Next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
We're just keeping it casual, aren't we, gang? We're casual commander here.
I'm Spy Satarak, and I'm evading jury duty. My commander is Guillaume, Master Chef.
I'm Krim. I decided to build my Dromar the Banisher deck.
My name's Evan, otherwise better known as Dark Pack Cosplay on the internet. I'll be playing Liliana, Heretical Healer.
Old, classic, casual commander deck of mine, Sliver Overlord.
That's not a casual
Urza.
deck.
Definitely
I've
have a
been saying
deck
it
for
for
you that
years.
is casual, though.
Okay, apparently, are you kidding me? What casual means to Krim is someone holding guns named
Pew pew! Mind bend. Well, first, I'm gonna make your Urborg make everybody have planes. No.
Oh! Rise of the Dark Realm.
Do you want to do that with the Ferocidon on the board?
Well, yeah, that's gonna be a little painful.
Coat of arms.
Oh!
Each creature.
So anyway, I started blasting.